Good morning. It is Tuesday morning at 8 a.m. Welcome to the space where we reimagine Africa. In the last day, I've been having these conversations about Design Your Life. I have a wonderful large class beginning today at 9 p.m. Eastern, 4 a.m. East African time. And Design Your Life is a class where I help you build a roadmap for your own life, where I help you discover purpose. And I was having a conversation with someone who will be joining yesterday afternoon, and in the conversation, we were talking about how she feels like all her life she has been going around in circles and trying to figure out life, trying to figure out her spirit, trying to figure out her mind, trying to figure out her body, trying to figure out her relationships, trying to figure out what her calling on this world is. And then also trying to figure out where is the money that God promised that she would have because she's a believer, and she's trying to understand what is going on in my life. And I said, here's the simple answer to that. It is a very, very simple answer. If you're looking around and you feel like you don't have enough, understand this. What you have is not the harvest, that is the seed. Let me repeat. If you are looking around and you notice that what you have is not enough, understand this. That is the seed, not the harvest. When your money is not enough, be clear that the little money that you have, that is the seed. That is not the harvest. Okay? Let's just get that straight and out of the way. And it is so important for you to recognize that you are not stuck. You are not stuck. You are not stuck. All I want you to do is to shift the way you think. Shift the way you think. And that's everything that I teach in Design Your Life. Just shift the way you think. Guess what? I shift the way I think. Right now, I'm shifting the way I think. Okay? Why I want you to get this is because we are so heavenly. We are too heavenly for earthly good. We take these spiritual lessons from the Bible and we turn them into situations that they're not supposed to be. And we are no different from how Jesus' disciples behaved. So this morning, I went back because of the conversation that I was having with the lady. I was enrolling into my class yesterday. I went back to the story about the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. And the interesting thing about that story is that before that particular parable, it wasn't a parable, it was actually a story. Before that particular passage in the Bible, Jesus had just finished that morning, and I'm going to give this in the context of corporate Kenya, corporate America, corporate anywhere. That morning, Jesus had had a conversation with his disciples, and he said, "Hey, guys, I want you to know that you have the power to tread over serpents and scorpions. Go out and heal the sick, feed the hungry." That's what Jesus said to the disciples. Equivalent of having in corporate America a stand up meeting where you're working on a project and you're told, hey, in the stand up meeting, you have an American Express Black unlimited, basically, or literally unlimited. You can buy anything, you can swipe. We're on this marketing project, we can swipe anything. Whatever needs come up on this marketing project, we have the budget to do it. So Jesus tells the disciples, hey, y'all have an American Express Black, and I want you to use your American Express Black as we go through the experiences today. So what do? They go out, heal the sick, and they pay for stuff that's needed. Okay, so Jesus is like, yes, use your American Express Black and go ahead and pay for stuff. So they do that, and then they realize that they have a really productive day, and they're very happy about the productive day, these 12 disciples. And let me tell you something about the 12 disciples. They were losers. Let's just go ahead and call them. They were losers. Remember when Jesus met them, he asked them what they did all day, and they said they were fishermen. And he was like, show me your fish. And they had nothing. So if you're feeling like you are not useful enough, understand this. Jesus picked 12 losers to walk around with him on his project. How many of you are leaders of teams? You would not choose 12 losers. Jesus saw the potential in people. Most people go and choose the best. He went and chose the worst because he knew that the transformation would be so amazing that once that transformation was complete, everybody would be in awe about what happened. Okay? So he tells these losers, hey, here's your American Express Black. Go ahead, and we're going to do a lot of work today. It's a good marketing project. And so they go out and they get some results. Towards the end of the day, Jesus received some bad news, and he had been told that John the Baptist had been killed, and his head was on a platter by Herodias, who was the daughter. Blah blah blah. This, it was all this politics and drama. If this was a reality show, all this politics and drama would be just so crazy. So Jesus was sad, and what he did is he got in a boat and he went across to on the other side of the banks, and he wanted to have some time there, but the paparazzi. By the way, I should not ever preach in a church, but this is my version so that I can understand these Bible stories that I read. But the paparazzi found out that Jesus was going across. So what they did is they posted on social media. And so everybody knew that Jesus was going to be over on the other side. And so guess what happened? Everybody followed because it was like, oh, this new up and coming rock star. Oh my goodness, my sister is listening to me and she's gonna think I'm crazy. This up and coming rock star is across the river and across the way on the other side of the bank. So everybody went over there. Okay. So now Jesus is in a situation where he's like, okay, remember we have American Express Black. All these people came for the event. This was a pop-up event. So there's a pop-up now, and they have to go with this flow because they have this marketing event. Okay, so the people are there. So what does Jesus do? Jesus starts to teach them, and he teaches them and he heals them. And remember, this is according to the project plan. The project plan says this is what you're going to do, and he does it. And the disciples are there. And remember, the disciples just came back. And remember, they're losers. So they're changing. They're in transition. They're not losers anymore. So what he sees is that these disciples start talking, even though they had success over early in the morning. Now it's afternoon, and maybe they're tired, and they're not really believers in the project, or they're having problems with their faith and seeing how it ends, even though they have the American Express Black. So they start telling Jesus, they're like, Jesus, it's late. It's getting late. There's so many people. There's just so many people here, and we don't have enough Ubers and enough Airbnbs in this area. Remember, he had come over here because he was kind of feeling down about his friend had died, so he needed some time. And don't forget this. Jesus was having a human experience on earth. So he had human feelings. So when he was told that John the Baptist had been killed and murdered, it's like when you watch the news, you feel bad. And sometimes you just need time alone. You just want to be on your own. So this is an area where he went to where there's just no Ubers. There are not that many Ubers. There are not that many Airbnbs, not that many hotels. And so the disciples come and say, oh my God, do you know that we don't have that many Airbnbs and Ubers around here, so people are not going to get to go home? And then Uber Eats doesn't go this far. So what's going to happen is these people are not going to have food. Okay. So what he does is Jesus tells them, and this is the part that I hadn't seen before. He said, you feed them. Oh, he was like, you feed them. And they're like, with what? We don't have food. But remember, they had the American Express Black. And remember, that's kind of like a limited. This is like the American Express card of American Express cards. So Jesus is basically saying, you have everything within you to solve this problem, right? You have everything within you to solve this problem. But they're like, what do you mean we need to feed them? And Jesus is like, this morning in the stand-up meeting, I told y'all that you had the power and dominion to tread over serpents and scorpions. You also have the power to heal the sick and feed the hungry. Okay, so here's the project. So do the project. And they're like, well, they've forgotten about the American Express card, because remember, they're new on the job. Remember, they're losers, right? They haven't quite they haven't gone through the transformation yet. And so they can't really, all they're thinking about is the old company that they came from that didn't have enough money. You know, when you've worked for a company that has no money, and then you go to a company that has all this budget to do all kinds of things, and then suddenly they have these, like when I first started working at Cox, and Cox is one of the companies in Atlanta. I remember I had come from a company that had no money. So when I went to Cox, I'll never forget the first event on the lawn. They had like candy stations, cupcake stations, all these food, music. They had a band, they had a tent. It looked like a wedding. And I was like, what kind of place is this? So imagine if I still had that mindset of the old company, I would say, okay, we can't really eat this food. This food is for the leaders of the company, because that's how it was in the company that I'd come from, right? But this is regular for him. So Jesus is telling them, hey, you guys, you have the power. Why don't you feed them? He literally said, why don't you feed them? Then they're like, So Jesus was like, okay, let me show you how to do this. Because remember, he didn't have time to go through this long and drawn out project. So he tells them, who over here has some food? And then the disciples say, there's one boy who has a combo. He got it from Chick-fil-A. It has 2 fish, but Chick-fil-A doesn't have fish. He got it from McDonald's. So it has 2 fish and it has 5 breads. That's an interesting combo, first of all. That's like the most interesting combo I have ever seen. So he tells them, when he tells the disciples say that, then he's like, okay, so if that is the case, then get that combo. And then he takes the combo and he blesses it. And then by faith, he sends it out and there's enough. Let me go ahead and say this. Let's say they went to the local McDonald's and swiped the American Express Black for all these meals, okay? What typically would have happened at McDonald's would have been like, oh my God, let's give them a volume discount, right? Let's give them a volume discount. So what does it do? It multiplies. Like, so now there's a special. If you buy 1,000 combos, you get 4,000 free or whatever. So now there's a volume discount. I'm using these ridiculous analogies because I don't want you to forget this story. I don't want you to ever forget this story, because this is how I want you to think differently, right? So what happens is, not only does he feed the 5,000, he has enough for each one of the losing team to go out and fill a basket. But first of all, nobody talks about the fact that they had to go to Bed Bath & Beyond and buy the baskets. Nobody talks about that. Where did the baskets come from? Okay? So they filled the baskets with food and it was overflowing. Now, let's go back to this. This is the part where you have to pay attention. Jesus did not sit around waiting for miracles. He helped them see their mindset and shift it. Number one, he reminded them of their power. And I'm here to remind you that you have the power to get everything that you want. So that if your money is little right now, that is just the harvest. That is just the seed. That is not the harvest. You have to sow that seed. You have a gift. You can start getting paid for that gift, something you do so easily. Let me give you an example. You like to sing. You sing beautifully. You don't have that much time. What I want you to do is to consider, maybe you can start offering your services at weddings so that you sing the solo at weddings, at special events, special occasions, because you cannot be in the choir every week. You don't have time to do a band. but you certainly do have time to make a flyer and say, guess what? All these people who are getting married should call me and I'll sing at their wedding. Singing at a wedding is 30 minutes. You go and sing that Ave Maria song when when the bride is about to come in. Once that is over, you go out and go home. Okay? You are a runner. You know that there are people who like running, but they have no motivation. Your neighbors, go out and start a running club where they pay you and run with them every morning. Your job is just to knock on their doors or ring their bell and say, hey, are you ready? You go picking them up and you go running and come back. So that there is a seed that you are planting so that you can see the harvest. The money that you have right now is the seed, not the harvest. Don't ever think that this is all God has given you. Remember, when this story started, Jesus had a stand-up meeting and he said, you have the power and dominion to tread over serpents and scorpions. You go out there, heal the sick, and feed the hungry. And that day they had such high self-esteem, they went out and did it in the morning. But by afternoon, they're like, hey, Jesus, you know there are no Ubers around here, Jesus, right? No. Understand that you must be consistent in thought. Why is it that in the morning they went around healing the sick, and in the afternoon they're like, oh, Jesus, we need a miracle? Okay? Here's how that story ends about the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. Most people just stay in the 2 fish and the 5 loaves. I like miracles. Do not get me wrong. I love miracles. But let me tell you what I want. What I want for my life, I want for my life to live in the overflow. Like to live in the overflow. Like the 12 baskets and all the extra fish and the extra bread. That's where I want my life to be. I'm tired of these minor miracles for basic things. No. I want that to be my regular. I want the American Express Black to be my regular. Where I have this, I know that I have unlimited funds so that I'm always living in the harvest and not necessarily planting the seed so that I can eat. Guys, some of you are too heavenly for earthly good. You read these Bible stories and you make them into these glorified, glory, hallelujah stories. Let's be practical. Understand that Jesus came on earth to be a transformational agent. Like seriously. He came here to transform. So he was here not challenging people what they do. He was challenging how they be. Okay? There's a certain way you should be. There's a certain mindset you should have if you really want to see the harvest. If you want to continue planting the seed, keep planting seeds, little seeds here and there, and then say, oh, dear Jesus, glory, hallelujah, can you bless it so that he can. And don't get me wrong, I love miracles. But what I love more than miracles is living in the overflow. Living in the overflow. That is what I want. Okay? Hi, Ruthie. Haven't seen you in a while. Hey, we need to talk, Ruthie. I'd love to chat. Let's talk. Hi, Marsha. Good to see you. Hi, Joanne. Hi, Marianne. Stop laughing. Guys, Design Your Life begins tonight. And it'll be tomorrow morning for those people on East African time, Wednesday morning at 4 a.m. to 5:30. And if you're on US time, it's Tuesday night or at 9 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Right? Okay. Next Design Your Life class begins June 17th. Okay? Next Design Your Life class begins June 17th. Please do not tell any pastors, any church owners that I had a sermon today, because if they find out that I'm using American Express Black as my analogies and marketing plans and stand-up meetings and budgets, they'll just be like, what kind of Bible is this she's reading? I was reading the story of the 5 loaves and the 2 fish. It's a basic story. And guys, let's get this done. I'll see you on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Talk to you guys later. Bye.